Hey guys, welcome to a video that I've actually been dreading for the last 6 months. At the beginning of the season, you get hyped, you get in the motion, you start believing. It is my Premier League predictions review video today. We're going to be reviewing all my 20 picks, where I put every single team. The reason why I put them there, and then obviously we're going to compare them to where they actually finished. And here on the table so far is what I've scored in the last couple of years. If you don't know how the scoring works, you get 0 points for if you're bang on. So if you put for Arsenal to win the league and they won the league this year, you get 0 points. If you put Arsenal in, say, 4th and they won the league, that's a +3 because they were 3 positions higher. If you put for Wolves, who went down last, if you said you put them in 12th, they finished last, that means it is a +8 to your score. It's a -8 to your score. So you want to obviously have the closer to the position than possible. So here are my current results so far. In the first season I did was the best season I predicted, 41 points. And in season 2 last year we got 66. So I'll quickly show you what basically I mean is this was the actual Premier League table from 23-24, sorry. And this was my prediction. So as you can see, I predicted Man City to win the league. They did finish the league, so that's a 0. But if you look at someone like Burnley, who went down, I predicted them 14th. So that's a -5 to my score. So that's basically how it works. But yeah, so 41 points in 2013-2014. In 24-25 season, there were some big shocks like Man United, Spurs, who had terrible seasons. Nottingham Forest did very well, which caused the points to go very high because of the different positions. This year has been the worst year of predictions, with teams that shouldn't be in relegation battles being there, teams that went down that I thought would do well, and I did not get one single Premier League prediction correct. That is so bad. So let's get into what I actually predicted and what the Premier League table looked like. Well, as you can see, lots of reds, lots of greens, no golds. We'll run through the final Premier League prediction results, then we'll go into mine. So in first place, Arsenal did win the league. Congratulations to Arsenal. In second was Man City. In third was Manchester United. In fourth was Aston Villa. In fifth was last year's champions Liverpool. In sixth was Bournemouth. In seventh was Sunderland. In eighth was Brighton. In ninth was Brentford. In 10th was Chelsea. In 11th was Fulham. 12th, Newcastle. Oh my God. 13th was Everton. 14th was Leeds. 15th was Palace. Nottingham Forest in 16th. In 17th, yet again for a second season, which has already done damage to most people's scores. 17th was Spurs. In 18th, West Ham, another one that's going to catch people out. In 19th, Burnley. And in 20th, Wolves. Well, looking on to my predictions, like I said, lots of reds, lots of greens. Well, starting at the bottom, in 20th was Burnley. In my predictions, I put them 19th. I knew they was going down. I wasn't going to do what I did in 2013-24 season, put them in high above. I knew they were going straight down. It was whether they were going to finish bottom or 19th. And who would have thought Wolves in last would have happened? You can see the relegation. I put Leeds, Wolves. So I knew Wolves were going to go down, but I didn't think they were going to finish bottom. So that's a +1 to my score because Burnley finished in 19th and I put them in 20th. So it's one place up. In 19th was Leeds. I put them in 19th. They ended up finishing in 14th. So they not only didn't get relegated, which I said they would, they did better than I expected. And I wouldn't say comfortably survived, because in the last 6 weeks they were in a relegation battle. But some beautiful results in the first 3 games saw them escape the relegation zone. So they had nothing to worry about, but it did damage my scores. So that itself is a +5 because they finished in 14th. In 18th was Wolves. I knew they were getting relegated. I expected them to be the best out of the relegation zones, actually fighting for survival. I was wrong. They were shocking at the start of the season, and they were probably relegated by Christmas. They did have some big results against Liverpool, City, Man United, but it wasn't enough to claw them back out of the zone because they were already pretty much relegated. So that was a -2 because I put them in 18th. They finished last. In 16th was in 17th, was Sunderland. Newly promoted. They did amazing business. Mukulele, Enzo Fernal, Ruffle Roofs, Brian Brobby, but the man to keep them composed, the quality to get other big players to join Sunderland was Granit Xhaka. What a signing that was for Sunderland, and that kept them up. 10th place. Surviving is good for a new team, but to go and get Europe in your first season, finishing 7th on the last day of the season, beating Chelsea, and obviously with other results elsewhere, they did get Europa League Conference, I believe. Either Europa League or Europa League Conference, depending on Champions Leagues and stuff like that, positions and stuff. But they will be playing in Europe next season. So congratulations to Sunderland. However, that is a +10 on my prediction. The biggest scoring difference. Crazy. In 16th, it's another big one. Brentford. I put them 16th. Lost their manager. Lost Mbemo. Lost Nordgaard. Lost their captain. And they did even better. Everyone had them to go down. Everyone had them just about survive relegation. Be in a relegation battle scrap. No. They were so close to getting Europe for the first time ever. Missing out on the last day of the season. But congratulations to them. They did wonders. So that is a +7 to my score. In 15th, and I said 15th to 11th could go anyways. Like, it could be a couple of points. It could be on the same points, goal different stuff. In 15th, I put Fulham. They ended up finishing in 11th. So they did better than I thought. Largely down to, I would say, Harry Wilson, who is leaving at the end of the season. Bassi at the back was great. So yeah, bigs up to them. I put them in 15th. They finished in 11th. Moving to another big scoring prediction that I got wrong was Bournemouth. 14th. And my basis was they lost to Barney last year, Dean Howson last year. Reports at the time, they were going to lose Semenyo. Obviously, we know he joined in January, but at the time we made this prediction coming into the first week, Semenyo was looking to leave. They obviously lost Kirkes. They brought in some decent players like Crawford. Alex Scott stood up, but probably their best player for me was the youngster, the 16-year-old Krupi Jr. 13 goals in the Premier League. He cooked for them. Ryan as well, a young Brazilian talent for Bournemouth. And overall, they achieved wonders. Despite missing out on Europe, 9th is a credible position to finish for Bournemouth. In 13th, usually Palace do better in the league. So was mixed feelings, but I'm glad I didn't put them too high because it's a -2. They did finish 15th. However, Europa League final for them. So hopefully they can go and win that. Get into Champions League next year. No, sorry. Conference League. Yeah, Conference League. So they would get into Europe next season if they win that. So they've still got something to play for, but as the season was, disaster. Moving to a team that's actually had a disaster. A team that had some decent players, some creative players. It all went wrong for West Ham. And they will be relegated to the Championship. I don't think anyone in Premier League predictions would have got this. West Ham to go down. Yes, they've not been great for the last year or two. They struggle attacking wise and defensively, but to be relegated, and yes, they had a great performance on the last day of the season, but those last 6 games of the season, they dropped points. They playing teams in relegation battles as well, and they didn't get the points. They didn't get the wins. They didn't get the draws. And the 2 games they did win, Spurs also won. We'll get on to Spurs later in the video. But they didn't do enough despite winning on the final day of the season. So West Ham have been relegated. I put them in 12th. They finished 18th. So yes, a -6 for me there. Another big hitter. You can already see this year has been a disaster. Moving on to Everton -2. This was where I said 11th to 15th, anything can happen. I did expect Everton to be higher in this mid-pack because of the talent, the players they've brought in on loan and buyed. But they ended up finishing 13th. So obviously in the last couple of years they've been in relegation battles. So to get completely away from that, congratulations. But looking to build on, they need to do more. In 10th, I put Forest. And this was basically based on last year. Solid defence, great midfield, good attackers. This year, they had the same defenders. They still had Gibbs White, they still had Anderson, they still had Chris Wood. But Chris Wood dropped off. The defence wasn't great compared to last year. And obviously, Anderson and Gibbs White did the best they could. They ended up finishing 16th. Again, close to a relegation, but not so in danger. So in 10th, I put them. They finished 16th. That's a -6. Moving into the top 10. Then Brighton, I put 9th. They ended up finishing in... So, sorry, that should be a green one because they finished above. They finished in 8th. So, I wasn't too far off. I knew they would do well. They're so good at selling and buying players. Young manager. And they have experienced players. I knew they would do well. But to get actual European football, congratulations to Brighton. It might be Conference League and we take the piss, but for a club like Brighton to be in that, to get more money, and revenue, get more fans, is a congratulations to them. In 8th, I put Aston Villa. This was more based on European competitions. We saw them do well in the Europa League. They won it. But I thought that European Europa League run would take the energy out of them. And if you actually look back, the first, I believe, 6 games, they hadn't scored a goal in the first Premier League games. They hadn't won a game for the first 9 games of the season. So to finish in 4th, what they could have done if they had started better would have been crazy. They could be in a title race, and that I would say about 10th to 16th game weeks they were in a title race, but also not in a title race. They were like 5 points behind or something. But yeah, they did drop off towards the end of the season, basing on that cup final. But to get back-to-back Champions League this year through the Europa League and in 4th, kudos to them. I put them in 8th. They finished in 4th. That's a +4 on my score. Moving to another team that's my fault for believing them is Spurs. Who would have thought, not only last year having a stinker, being 17th last year, but also having a cup final, to be in even worse this year, having signed players on loan and buys. They were in the same position, in a relegation battle on the final day of the season. No European Cups runs, no FA Cup runs, no Carabao Cup runs. What if I was a Spurs fan? Firstly, I'd off myself. 2 years in a row being in 17th is embarrassing for a team that's made up as a top 6 side. They don't deserve to have that title ever again. They never deserved it in the first place, but they don't deserve it now. 17th. A lot of people said I can't even remember the manager now. Thomas Frank would come in, defensively would improve that squad. His tacticals would help Spurs, great at signing players and all this. It was a disaster. They went through 3 managers. 3? I think, 3, because they got rid of Ange in the summer. 3 managers this year took over Spurs. De Zerbi just about survived. But yeah, I don't know what I was thinking Spurs would finish in a European competition. They were disastrous. And again, next year's going to be a tough one because they should get better. They should be in a top 10. They should be in that kind of position. But you never know now. 2 years in a row they've been in a relegation battle. They've got good players in defence. They've got good attackers. They've got good midfielders. Yes, injuries played a part, but it's Spurs. I don't know what I would do next year. That is the question. But -10, another -10 on Spurs, back to back, 2 years in a row, is incredible. So yeah, they finished 17th. I put them 7th. In 6th, another team that let me down. Great signings, good squad depth, good young players, but all went wrong under Eddie Howe. I put them 6th. They finished 12th, losing on the last day of the season. Their best striker left, of course. We knew that. That's why I put them in 6th, with Isaac losing. Brought Wasamo in. Thought he'd be a world-class signing. Barely even plays. It went wrong at Newcastle this year. In 5th was Manchester United. And I kind of said I could see Man United finishing 3rd, but also could finish seeing them in 6th. And it was basically whether we would get a CDM. At this time, Mbema had signed, Cunha had signed, Sesko had signed. We needed a new goalkeeper, and we needed a CDM. We got the goalkeeper, Lemon Saman. You did amazing for us. Finally, we have a decent keeper. I don't want to say good keeper. I don't want to say world-class keeper. He's very young, but could be the next De Gea if we can keep him, developing him. But yeah, I said 3rd to 6th. The 3rd was pushing if we could get someone like Baleba, something like that. We didn't get a CDM. I thought that was a disaster, but we didn't need one. Casemiro came back. Big goals, big moments, and the whole team did well. So I should have backed my team a little bit more. But yeah, Man United. Well, actually, sorry, that's a +2, isn't it? 2. So yeah, they finished 3rd. That's a +2 actually. Sorry. So that's. Oh my god. Moving into 4th was Man City. We kind of knew this would be Pep Guardiola's last season. And after last year winning, not winning the league, Arsenal strengthening, Liverpool strengthening with their signings, I generally did think Man City would drop off. And I wasn't totally wrong. They were out of the title race until about February. Like they were not out of it, but they were also like 9 points behind, 8 points behind. Then Arsenal dropped points after points after points. City came back like they do in the run-in. Win, goals, wins. And ultimately, it was down to the last 4 games of the season. A draw, a win, a draw. And then they lost it. It was already done on game week 37. Probably done on game week 35 when they drew to Everton. But, yeah, I thought they would drop off. They did better than I thought. They came back and made a title charge, but it wasn't going to be enough. So in 4th, I put Man City. They ended up finishing 2nd. In 3rd, moving to another big side that stunk this year. Another team that you thought could be up there for a title charge. The unlikely title charge, but could be there. Chelsea. Winning the World Cup, Club World Cup, coming into this season on the fire, beating Champions League winners PSG. The world looked for Chelsea to go and win. Started well, and it was about 8 games in. They decided Enzo Maresca decided to leave Chelsea. Had fallen out with the board or the owner or whatever, and Chelsea's trajectory after that stunk. Brought Liam Rosenior in. Stunk. He was probably the worst manager in the league this year. We talk about, obviously, managers like Nuno getting relegated and stuff like that. Liam Rosenior might be the worst Premier League manager in history to ever manage a Premier League side. What the hell he was doing? PE team talks, round cuddling them, standing in circles around referees, crying like a little baby at press conferences. He must be the worst Premier League manager this year by far and a doubt. Despite big teams like West Ham getting relegated, Wolves getting relegated, Liam Rosenior, for me, is the worst manager of this year. And Chelsea underperformed yet again. Like, underperformance, if you said third, they finished fifth, sixth. No, they finished 10th. They are back to being mid-table mandem. No European competitions, no Champions League, no Europa League, no Conference League. No, Chelsea fans took the piss that they were in the Conference League a couple of years ago. They didn't even make Conference League this year. That's how embarrassing it is. Coming into next year, yes, they've got Xabi Alonso, but this is what I said. How many players would want to stay? Cole Palmer, why would he want to stay at a team? Yes, they've got a good manager. That's nowhere near the league. I just can't see them. And it's again another team that's going to be very hard to predict next year. In our second, for Chelsea, that was a -7 as well, just there. In second, I put Arsenal. Coming into this year, I said my favourites I wanted to win was Arsenal, on the basis of if Liverpool won it again, they would break Man United's record for the most Premier League titles. And if Man City won, it's a rivalry. You don't want them to win. So yeah, I put Arsenal. My big worry was the Arsenal fan base. Not the team. I think their team is amazing. Their players are amazing. They do have some world-class players. Not all world-class players. And I think that's what Arsenal fans need to realise. But they do have world-class players like Declan Rice, like Saliba and Gabriel Raya, on the verge of being an elite goalkeeper. But some of them other players are mid. Some of them are okay. But when you do have players like Declan Rice, it makes the team very, very strong. I did think they would bottle it again, only on the basis of how much Liverpool spent, how much Liverpool's quality on paper signings were better than Arsenal's. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think either team's signings did well. I don't think Liverpool signings did well, and I don't think Arsenal signings did well either. Not what the level that everyone expected them to do. But yeah, they were in the title race. They were ahead in the title race, and they did go on to win. I also messed that up. That should be green as well. They did end up winning the league, so that is a +1 because I put them second. They won the league, which meant Liverpool, who I put top of the league, and I kind of spoke a little bit about in Arsenal. Florian Wirtz, Etitike, Isaac, Kirkes, Frimpong. They had a great summer of signings on paper. Great deals. Florian Wirtz, massive signing price tag wise, but the others, 30 million, 35 million, 40 millions, world class signings, but didn't get it right. And I think coming into next year, it's also going to be another team, because it all depends on the manager. A lot of Liverpool fans want Slot to go, despite winning the league last year. A lot of people then want them to get rid of them. So that's going to be another team that's very going to be hard to predict. So when I look at next year, Liverpool, very hard to predict. Chelsea, very hard to predict. Man City, very hard to predict. I don't want to say Man United is very hard to predict, but it all depends on who they sign. Could they go higher than third? Could they be in a title race? Could they be second? I don't think they're going to win the league next year or the year after, but can they bridge that gap to second place? Could they challenge? So that's my, these ones I'm worried they could drop. Man United, they could be third, they could be second. Newcastle should bounce back. Spurs, another big one. 2 years in a relegation battle. Are they down here for the rest of it, or are they going to bounce back? Are they going to regenerate? Are they going to somehow get some good signings to get them back into this positions? Villa, Brighton, all going to be playing European football next year. Is that going to take a toll? Bournemouth, another great season. Are they going to do the same thing? Brentford overachieved this year. Are they going to do the same? Sunderland in European football next year. Are they going to fall because of that? Or are they going to grow and shine? Like these, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 teams in this league that I'm very unsure of whether they're going to do better next year, or because of multiple competitions they're going to do worse. It's going to be mad next year, and it's only getting harder and harder every year to predict the Premier League. But yeah, this is my total. This was the actual Premier League. This was actually my prediction. So Liverpool to win the league, Arsenal in second, Chelsea third, Man City fourth, Man United fifth, Newcastle 6th, 7th Spurs, Aston Villa 8th, Brighton 9th, Forest 10th, Everton 11th, West Ham 12th, Palace 13th, Bournemouth 14th, Fulham 15th, Brentford 16th, Sunderland 17th, Wolves, Leeds, Burnley to get relegated. That was my predictions. What actually happened was Arsenal won the league, City 2nd, Man United 3rd, Villa 4th in Champions League spots, Liverpool potentially on Champions League spots depending on the 5th place position. Bournemouth 6th, Sunderland 7th, Brighton 8th, all European competitions next year. Brentford missing out on 19th, Chelsea back to mid-table mandate in 10th, Fulham 11th, Newcastle dropped off 12th, Everton 13th, Leeds survived comfortably 14th, Palace 15th, Forest dropped down massively from last year but survived in 16th, Spurs matched their record in positions, but overall in the season they stunk. We're in a relegation scrap. West Ham, the biggest story of the season, probably getting relegated on the final day. Burnley 19th and Wolves finishing rock bottom. That was our predictions compared to the Premier League actual prediction standings, which means coming into that the end of this video, what was my total points? Well, as you can see, we got 0 correct answers. Big points differences. You know, if you look at 2013, 2014, the biggest outscoring was 5 points. Man United, Brentford 5 points, Burnley 5 points. That was the biggest difference. Coming into the last year, 11th Manchester United, 11th Spurs. Were the biggest outscoring points. This year it was tens. Again, Spurs with another 10. So what was my actual score? It was 99 points. 99 points difference. That is disastrous. is 33 points worse than the year before. No correct positions, massive differences in predictions and standings. This is the worst year. I can't even call the title disaster predictions. These are outrageous differences. When you look at Sunderland, you look at West Ham, you look at Spurs, Brentford +7, Bournemouth +8, Newcastle dropped 6 places, Chelsea dropped 6 places, Chelsea dropped 7 places, Liverpool dropped 4 places. Some big scoring differences, which means my points are 99 points. I don't think I will get anything worse. The only thing worse, the way I could do it, is if I went and predicted next year Coventry City to go and finish 10th, Hull City to finish 11th, and Ipswich Town to get Europa League football. Like, I can't see a world where I get worse than 100 points. This was very close to 100 points, 99 points. But yeah, it's going to take a lot to beat my 41 points difference. But I just can't see myself going any worse than that. Thank you for watching, guys. That was my Premier League predictions reaction video. Absolutely disastrous from me. I just want to apologise to you. This is worst ball knowledge today. Personally, I think I don't have bad ball knowledge. But this year I got it all wrong. Who would have thought West Ham would have been relegated? Who would have thought Spurs would be in the same position they were last year? Who thought Chelsea would drop off and not even get European positions? Who would have thought Sunderland, newly promoted, would get Europa League football? Like, you've got to be the top 1% ball knowledge people when making predictions to get those correct. But for now, guys, thank you for watching. We'll be back next year for some more Premier League predictions. It's going to be wild. Like I said in the video, very hard to predict who's going to do well, who's going to go down, who's going to drop from this year, who's going to improve from this year. But oh wow, that is Premier League predictions. Stay tuned for World Cup action. But for now, guys, thank you for watching. Good luck. I hope your predictions went better than mine. And I'll see you very, very soon. Goodbye.